Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be motivated by your host, Reverend John Wheeler! Now shut up! You shut up! Sit down! Shut up! Shut up!
Oh boy! That synced up fine. There we are. Little Liquid Death. They sponsor a lot of podcasts, but those are podcasts with listeners, not ones with no listeners like ours. Here's the thing, though. You got to understand that if you're listening to this at all, ever, right? Because this is permanent. This is just on the internet. It's on Spotify or whatever it is. And the reason that it's here, right, is for the fact that someday, like I'm not making this podcast so that anyone listens to it as I make it right now, as some nobody or someone that maybe used to be in a couple of bands or whatever. No one gives a shit, and that's fine. They don't need to. That isn't the idea at all. It just doesn't fucking matter. What this is for is if, like, maybe I release a hit song. Maybe I produce some young kid's new thing and they're just like, oh, whoever did this and whatever. And it's like, yeah, you know, you have a moment in the sun, but what is there? But, oh, shit, I have all kinds of songs on Spotify. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast that will at that point have, I don't know how many episodes. Maybe this is 10 years from now, so that's a whole lot of episodes. Or maybe, you know, I run for local politics and then they dig into my past. And it's such a large, gigantic disgrace that, you know, it's national news that some nobody just got into so much trouble. It's like, well, who is this man? And you're like, well, he has a podcast. We better listen to that to see whatever. And that's where we start getting the Liquid Death endorsements. Like, thousands of people are listening to they're going through the back catalog, trying to incriminate me. They're trying to incriminate me further. They're having their own little Nuremberg cancellation trial, and they're going to hang me. But in the meantime, I am going to get Blue Chew, Liquid Death, you know, BetterHelp, all those ones. Maybe I'll even get in with On It on Joe Rogan. That's the thing. So, like, actually, it behooves me financially to try and destroy my own life. So in the process, a bunch of people who are looking to further that will have to go subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch all that sweet, sweet content. And I'll get up over 1,000 followers. I'll have a lot of watch time while Dateline just goes through everything with a fine-tooth comb, shows their peers, evaluates and studies, be like, this guy's got 1 million subscribers, and it's like, oh, it's all because of what I said at that city council meeting that made international headlines because I shouldn't have said it. But if you want to see more of what I said, you're watching this right now. And that'll be funny, too, because see, if you're some rando that I don't know why you'd be watching this, but if you just started watching this, be like, what is that idiot talking about? But if I do something heinous, right? If I get into local politics and win, and I see everything I want to see happen, I've turned Lynn Bohannon into the crown jewel of Minneapolis the way I want to. And then after that, I get a bunch of kickbacks and things, and I have to pretend I don't know what racketeering is, and I promise I'll stop, and whatever. But, you know, they're going to look into this, and you'll be watching this, and you'll be like, so did you know that was going to happen? I'm like, no, actually, I'm just fucking around. But wouldn't it be weird if you're like, wow, that was before all that happened. Now he's hiding on that island in international waters. But yeah, like that, this is all there. And it's still going to go to a dummy account. So I'll be making, all those clicks are going to be adding up to sweet, sweet money in the bank while I hide in Switzerland or wherever I go. I'll just say a bunch of places I probably won't go to throw you off the trail. But if you watch every episode and you watch very carefully and you really, really hate me and you rightfully are angry about the things I did and the things I said, I promise there's a code in every song I've written and every YouTube video I've uploaded, and every single podcast on every podcast network, that if you and your friends all listen over and over and over again, you will be able to find me, just like Carmen Sandiego. I'm not saying that to trick you into listening over and over again so that I get more money. That's something, well, the exact kind of person I am would do. But see, I'm that kind of scummy, but I'm more insidious than that. I have my money. That's what I did. I don't know what that will be in the future, but, that I got caught for, so that I had to flee the country. And now you have to sit here combing through these over and over again like fucking Kevin Spacey in Seven to figure out what I did. Oh, I gotta get out. I was describing that movie to Alexis, and she's like, "That seems really cool." I'm like, "It actually is. We should watch. You'd like it." It has Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. They're like detectives, and this guy's killing people based off of the Seven Deadly Sins, and it's got like old Nine Inch Nails remixes of the soundtrack. It's actually pretty cool. I'm like, we should go watch Seven. So, yeah, that was my point.
All 7 of them.
All 7 points, baby. And at the end, the credits go in reverse, and it's like, whoa, mindfuck. Yeah, good job. Is that David Fincher? Who the fuck made that movie?
Well, as your producer, I'll look it up.
Oh, yeah. You do have... I almost ashed into my drink. God, I'm fucked up. See, I'm off my meds, except for, liquor and whatever I find. And CBD cigarettes. And I went on a bit of a tirade on the old social medias 2 days ago, yesterday. God damn, time has no meaning. Well, these come out on Monday, so a couple days ago, whatever. And I was angry. And everybody thought that something happened to me. Like, they were like, are you all right? I'm like, no, I'm not ever all right. This isn't new. But, I mean, thank you to everyone who reached out. But it wasn't like... I just came to a realization, is all. I'm trying to sort of, I spent a year, and I like my doctor, but he's a human and he's a doctor, and, people are bound by the waves of the world and the whatever the lexicon and the media and the greater collective unconscious is focused on. Like, yeah, they have to base their jobs around that and all. And I get it, but here's the thing. It's not just that I have anxiety, clearly. And I know that because I'm almost 42. Like, I figured it out. Like, I could figure it out if I was a dumb 41-year-old or a really smart little kid. But I'm a really smart 41-year-old. So, yeah, I got it. I pieced together, fucking Scooby-Doo style, what's going on with me. I do understand. And, my doctor's a smart guy, and he figured it out, too. But I've been given, take this every day type of medicine. And I was like, well, maybe this will help. Maybe an SNRI, maybe that, maybe that will help, whatever. As I was first talking to him, I knew damn well that it's like, how everyone has a Xanax prescription, and it's like, sometimes I get nervous on airplanes, and I'm like, yeah, I get like panic attacks. There's no amount of meditation. There's no amount of exercise. There is no amount of like practicing gratitude. There's no amount of it. I can't convince my body to not have, like a faux heart attack grade freak out in the middle of the night after I've had a good day in my stable financial situation with my loving wife and all my fun hobbies and fulfilling jobs. Yeah, it's like, people are always, well, maybe it's like, no. And then they're like, weed? I'm like, why don't you go fuck yourself? No. Like, if I could just smoke, you realize that, like, all I do is break the law, and weed is basically legal now. If you think if I haven't given that a whirl since 1996, since I've been adult enough to be like, booze helps when I hate the hangover, and everyone just goes like, have you tried weed? Fuck you! You know what I have tried, though, that my friends have occasionally given me? Xanax, yeah, it just goes away. All my problems, all my anxiety, all my everything. I just feel okay. And they're like, well, yeah, because it's a drug, and then you're going to take it every day. Even when I'm taking it because I bought it off some dude, I don't take it every day. Because I know. Like, I break them in half. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling a little edgy. Trying to go for a while without drinking, and it's like, I'm kind of having one of those nights where I can't fall asleep. I'm like, this will fix it. And it does. And I've been prescribed everything under the moon besides that. Because, in the news, they're like, oh, these are bad. It's kind of like the whole painkiller thing, where it's like, yeah, they went too far, and also you can't trust a bunch of fat idiots in the Ozarks or whatever to, like, not go, hey, this is basically heroin, that's fun, because they don't have jobs, and they don't, no one cares, and, like, being a big fat man doesn't, like, get you anywhere on its own anymore. Like, it maybe keeps you from getting hate crimed in the street at night, but, like, if you're like, I would like to be successful, like, yeah, you just need to come for money. Yeah, being any white dude, that would have helped you out in, like, the 50s, but, boy, that's long over. And I'm not saying that other people are getting it. No, everyone's fucked, you're just among them now. But it's like the Always Sunny thing. They're what we call new poor. See, we're old poor. Like, I know how to be a piece of shit. Like, I grew up not, for some reason, and I don't even exactly know why, because people have grown up poorer than me. Not many, but, you know, in this country, some have. But, like, I somehow knew, and I don't know if it was, like, when I heard my mom, like, one of the early financial crises, and, like, the value of their home went down slightly, and she was just throwing a fit because, like, they're like, it's supposed to be an investment. And I remember being young and, like, not having any opportunity or anything, being like, I would just like somewhere to live. And I'm like, oh my God, this is why nothing good is ever going to happen in my whole life on its own or whatever, unless I fucking drag it out into the street, kicking, screaming, shoot it in the face and run through its pockets. Maybe then. But yeah, like, somehow I was like, no, this isn't going to be good. This is going to be a hard Scrabble nightmare. Especially if I follow my dreams. If I don't, you know, maybe. Like, if I'm like, I guess I gotta get super interested in finance, which is nothing but math and talking to fucking stupid assholes. Oh, that sounds like a great way to kill time till I die of old age, but I have enough money for a boat. Yeah, it just, so I knew, right? But there's a lot of people that were expecting better because they're dumb, that couldn't handle it. So when their doctors are like, oh, you hurt your back at your job you've been putting all this overtime into, and going, I work 90 hours a week and I make $5 an hour and I'm in trouble with the IRS, but what's your excuse, you lazy? And then somehow or another, that person did not become a successful person that people respect, and they hurt themselves doing the thing that they should not have been settling for in the first place, and their doctor gave them the thing that created jazz, and suddenly they got way too into that, and then they had to be like, we have a crisis in this country. Do you realize that, like, for like a $7 copay, you can get prescribed the solutions to all of your problems, real and existential, all at once? That might cause you to die a little early, however, not as early as cigarettes and booze, but we've already pointed those fingers, so this has to go. And you're not allowed to slowly kill yourself to get yourself out of the way before you start leeching the social security of younger people like Bill and I, who have not had catastrophic back injuries yet, and will not get pills for those because of you. You all already ruined it. I don't understand why they make medication anymore. We're not allowed to have it. Like, we're adults with, like, jobs and money and, for better or for worse, some kind of health insurance. And if you're like, yeah, like, I put this on my post I made, and this isn't even about pain. All I want is something to take the edge off my fucking anxiety that isn't liquor. Or weed, because it only gives me more. Have you tried edibles? Would you fuck yourself? That makes it worse. Just get out of here. How about Delta 8? I'm like, it's like a mushroom trip, but, like, not pleasant, and you can't do that every day.
Nope.
I don't know. It just, goddamn all you people. It's like, well, maybe you need to fucking go outside. It's like, maybe you need to go play in traffic. Like, anyhow, but the pain thing is still related to the benzo thing. Because, like, Jordan Peterson did too many benzos. And he's a teacher or a professor or something. I mean, yeah, all he does is bitch on the internet about how models are too fat now and we shouldn't be praising them. But, yeah, he's clearly a sane, intelligent person. And if he can't handle his benzos, who can? So, like, yeah. But, you know, most people aren't as familiar with that, and they're like, I don't even like Xanax. I like fucking Percocets. Yeah, well, you should be able to have those too. Every drug should all be legal. They should just all have a thing that says what to do and not do on the back that's not full of shit that you can read. If you read it wrong, you die. What is so wrong with everyone dying? Like, that's the thing. Like, because some fucking worthless fat people whose jobs have been outsourced and outdated and they just don't matter died from taking all these pills, like, as if getting rid of them is bad, and it is not. But because they got themselves out of the way before they became like a financial burden to the rest of us, now I could get my fucking leg stuck in a goddamn lawnmower and, like, walk in on a bloody stump just using my own bone as, like, a shoe, and, like, but any doctor in this country would just go like, well, okay, well, I can refer you to a physical therapist. I can write you a prescription to Adderall to Advil that you don't need a prescription for. But I'm also going to give you a pamphlet on the dangers of abusing Advil. And then a little shrug and a sad look. And I wish there was more we could do. Yeah, there is. Sew my stump leg together. Give me some antibiotics first. I'm not stupid. And then load me up. What in the hell is this?
Fucking sorry about
God damn it, Bill! I was on a roll.
I'm sorry, there's
That's
pop-ups
okay.
while I'm researching stuff. That
Your computer has more viruses than a dance club in San Francisco in 1989. No, it doesn't. It's probably just a random internet thing.
I was trying to figure out who the hell Jordan Peterson was.
Oh my God.
Then I clicked onto a website that was like telling me about him, and then like fucking hundreds of pop-ups. Like,
well, of course. No, he's just this guy that like is like he was one of the first people to come out against the horrors of non-binary people and stuff.
I thought we like whores.
Well, yeah, he's not a whore. He's a fucking idiot. And like he was like, the problem with him is that he's like, academia sucks. The place where you make all your money and that's where you work and you're so disconnected from the real world. Like, okay.
Is it this guy?
Yes, it is.
The clinical psychologist?
The guy that tells you to clean your room and
YouTube personnel.
And don't let fucking women play video games and vote for... No, don't vote. I didn't say vote for Trump. I'm just going to set you up so that it's obviously what I'm making you think you should do. Because you're a sad, stinky boy that he's one of those guys where it's like he's reasonable enough when you listen to him talk, but the stuff that he's caused is like he deserves all of his drug problems and falls from grace. But that's why you need to overprescribe pills to everybody. You gotta let people like Jordan Peterson die. Like, you can't just be like, oh, we took away your Xanax, like, and now you're just gonna live forever and just go on Joe Rogan. I think you make a lot of sense, man. I think it's all right. I mean, the people, I mean, these, identity politics, it's like, I mean, it's both sides, man. It's I understand. I mean, and you're a college pro. You're smarter than me. I'm just a chimp, man. That's how it is. But it's like there's people that want to see black people's heads cut off in the town square, but then there's also people that want to be called they them. Same thing. Both sides, man. Yeah. But honestly, it's even worse because that's my freedom, man. And by the way, I am annoyed with all of your fucking stupid cosplay sexuality stuff, but it's only because you don't fuck. And I've gone over that before. You're like, this is who I'm attracted to. Do you fuck them? No. Then why are you talking to me about it? Like, I don't fucking care. I don't mind clicking the box on a thing that was like, oh, how do you identify? Because I like to make up weird, crazy stuff, and the more boxes there are, the more fun I have. Like, one of my favorite things was way back in the day. There was this 9 Inch Nails like web forum that I would go on, and it was like it had a drop down thing for like, oh, what's your sexuality? Because it was like 2001 and it was fun, I guess, or whatever. And there was like 50 answers though. And I was like, I kept looking and I'm like, I gotta pick something stupid. What would make the 9 Inch Nails I grew up loving in 1994? What would make them proud? So I'm like, I'm not uptight, blah, blah, blah. But I finally found one. It was like towards the bottom and it said, I'm not gay, but I know how to party. And I'm like, that's what I'm clicking. And see, 9 Inch Nails had the right idea. It's fun. It is lots of fun, but like Jordan Peterson is raging against like, yes, the huge scourge of this nation that there's 4, non-binary people, women on, Twitter that have green hair, and between all of them they weigh more than my car, and they get to dictate who doesn't have a job on Disney Plus anymore. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's like a little bit of a problem, but he also made himself into an international celebrity and multi-millionaire off of that, and then he was just like, I don't know if this is what God really wants from me, and he took a bunch of pills, but then you cut him off of those pills and he didn't get to meet God, so you're doing God a favor, I guess, but not Jordan Peterson. You're actually getting in his way. You're not doing me a favor either by not letting him take too many drugs and die. He's an adult. I think that's the other thing. Like, you should just be able to sign a waiver and be like, just prescribe me whatever the fuck I ask you for. Because it's like, weed is legal, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's safer than a lot of things, but the thing that just pissed me off the most is that I was reading a bunch of stuff online, and it was like, what's the safest thing to take for anti-anxiety? And it's like lorazepams and Xanax are like at the top. They're like, oh, that's, yeah. But it's like, they're in the news. But we just got legalized, man, so that'll just fix it. And I'm like, yeah? Didn't we used to put people in jail for life for that shit, and you won't give me a thing? But, the bigger thing of it is maybe I'm not responsible enough. Maybe it is dangerous. Who fucking cares? Just give it to everyone anyway. Give them fucking Ambien and Adderall and just let them figure it out. Do you give it to kids? Maybe not. You don't force it on them. You don't maybe even let their parents decide for them, because most people's parents were raised by, like our parents were raised by a generation of people that just like drank lead paint every day, and they just grew up like sociopaths. And it's like they had kids as basically like a little pet that says something about them. And yeah, they're torturous monsters. But like, fine. So you got to be 18 or raise it up. Maybe you got to be 30. It's just when you're 30 years old and you're still alive, you get to go to your doctor. I want some Percocets. It's like, where does it hurt? Everywhere and nowhere, doc. It's the pain of existence. Give me these things, or I'm just going to start shoving fentanyl into my urethra. And I'm going to find it somewhere where it's probably going to be mixed with something less healthy than fentanyl. And I don't even know what the fuck that is. Gluten, maybe. Something. There's a lot of sugar in these fentanyl urethra pellets. You should be prescribing me the good stuff. But yeah, it's dumb. I don't even want to hear the argument like people can be responsible. Who cares if they're not? Not letting people kill themselves with drugs is insane. Be like, well, you should be able to take them because it's actually safe. Or it's not. Who gives a fuck? Prescribe me crack. That'll shut me. Well, no, it'll do quite the opposite of shut me up. Right up until I died. If I haven't watched like that awesome documentary about Freeway Ricky Ross, the whole crack thing in the 80s where they're like the CIA was selling them rocket launchers and shit that like basically the Grand Theft Auto games were based off of. Because those are hard to get unless they're getting, shipped in from the Iran-Contras or probably somewhere in Central America. But yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole and we should talk about that. But my point is like you should just be able to like, maybe not everything should be legal, right? Like, you can't just buy Coke at the gas station. Like, I don't think you should be able to buy Delta 8, like, at the gas station, because that in edible form could be a lot.
It is.
And if you give it to, like, little kids, there's a whole thing where they're almost going to go to the hospital. And they're like, oh, well, that needs to be illegal then. Like, no, it does not need to be illegal, because I am not a 7-year-old in a gas station. And I've taken it, and I was pretty certain I was going to die, and then I didn't. But you know what? The last 2 times I accidentally... I had a little bit too much Delta 8 edible because I'm like, I won't drink. This will help my anxiety. And then I was like getting a little, and it actually, vaping it, I will say, hits me like less fucked up than weed. Like it is actually like less anxious. But the edible form of weed is worse than regular weed. But the edible form of Delta 8 is its own thing by itself. Like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. It's like a mushroom trip without the actual connection to the universe. Like, I would hallucinate. Like, I would look in the mirror and I would see myself change into other people, but instead of turning into my own grandfather and realizing that we're all one, I was just changing into other people and flipping out. I'm like, okay, this is like mushrooms without the love, man. And that's no good. A loveless mushroom trip is a fucking awful thing. But you know what saved my ass both times? The illegal Xanax that I got from some friend of mine that I stockpile. Like, I took a quarter of one and it just went away like that. By the way, edible Delta 8 mixed with a little Xanax. Lots of fun. That is phenomenal. But see, I think everyone should have access to every drug. I mean, it should just be kind of, it's like Delta 8. Yeah, you got to buy it in a head shop that you have to be 18 to even walk into. Fine. That's like, it's better than just a gas station. That's a little too fucking loosey-goosey. Because when it's for sale at a gas station, you're like, well, this has to at least be as safe as cigarettes. So I'm going to go ahead and buy these for my younger brother or whatever. But it's like, yeah, if like cocaine was going to be legal, it's like, okay, but you don't even get that at down in the valley or somewhere. Like, you have to... or the Hideaway or something. It's like, no, you have to go to a liquor store, and there's a thing in the back that, like, with the beads, like the porno in the old, like, video update, you go back, it's like there's the regular videotapes, and there's, like, the Madame Mombi's porno room that you gotta go behind a curtain. Well, you have to be 25 to go in there, and that's where you buy your cocaine. And I know you could just, it's like, well, people who are 21 could buy cocaine. But it's like, yeah, but okay, so it's like you can get cigarettes in high school because, like, someone you know is 18. And when you get to be, like, 18 and in college, like, someone you know is 22 and they'll buy you booze. But you got to be 25 to do cocaine. So you have to be at least, like, 22, like, or maybe 18 because you're a chick that's banging, like, a 25-year-old guy, and he's going to buy you a little cocaine to help grease those wheels because he's not in that good of a band. But that made up the difference. Whatever. Like... Sure, but it's like 10-year-olds aren't going to get it because no 10-year-old is friends with a 28-year-old, and if they are, they have worse problems than them scoring them cocaine at that point. They're just already getting molested. Honestly, the cocaine will help get them through. But my point is some of it maybe should be gatekept by doctors, but if you go through all the bullshit of making a doctor's appointment, pitching your case, signing up for insurance, you got to call someone and make a fucking appointment, that's harder to do than go to the liquor store. Like, that's like a lot of work. And there's an age thing. They're like, okay, so you have to be 21 to buy liquor, 25 to go into the cocaine room and back. And then you have to be 25 and then also make a prescription with your doctor and go have a meeting, maybe prove that you graduated high school. Sure, it's still going to be way easier than buying a gun, but like, which no one has any problem. I can't get my doctor who I like to give me Xanax when I flat out asked for it. Like, he prescribed me some lorazepams, he gave me like 10, and then I was like, yeah, it took me 3 months to get through these. And it did. I was careful with them or whatever, and they really helped. And I was like, okay, so can I get more of those? Like, no, I don't think we should do that. So he gave me hydroxyzine, which he gave me 60 of, which are basically Benadryls, except for Benadryls actually, when they're knocking you out, make your anxiety go away rather than just locking you into being tired and anxious. These are the worst things in the world. I was like, no wonder you gave me 60. Of course they don't do anything. Like, of fucking course they don't. Like, all they do, like, it's the we don't trust you drug. It's like, yeah, cool. I'm capable of going to Cub and buying my own Benadryl. Like, that I could do. That actually is better. But yeah, I bought an AK-47 in the middle of one of those long weeks where there's like several mass shootings in the news and it was like real quiet in there, and even the fucking hicks I was buying it from seemed a little awkward. Of course, I showed up acting like this, and I just like put on like a full, like with a suit and a tie. Like I was getting off of lunch to buy. I was like, hello. I think they thought I was actually the devil testing them, because I just like had all these, it was when I had way more rings, and I think I was like wearing like a black suit with a red shirt and a black tie. And I was just like, hello. I was thinking about getting something. They're just like, is there a what is happening here? It's like, oh, no cameras, my good man. I just need some of your wares, of course. I'm willing to pay full price. I'll even give you a little tip. Maybe I'll be back with some of my friends. What do you think? And they're like, I think the devil's buying a machine gun from me during a bunch of school shootings. Like, they probably quit the day after. Like, they told Mom about it. Mom was like, you met the devil. Like, that's what happened. So, yeah, I got some people to rethink their life. Plus, I got a assault rifle for like $600. I did that. I think I showed up a little drunk. I was on, like, I do have my conceal and carry, which kind of like, once you get that, it does make it so they don't have to make as many phone calls. I was in there for maybe 18 minutes. From walking through the door, to creeping the guy out, to leaving with a thing where I said, I don't need a box, I'll just throw it in the back of my Prius. And that was the final weird look I got from him as I tipped my hat and disappeared in a puff of smoke. And then he went to hell. Whatever. But yeah, that's fine. I can be trusted with that. And I think I probably was a little drunk, because I was like, man, this might be awkward. So I'm going to put on a suit, I'm going to drink some whiskey, and I'm going to go buy an AK from this fucking dumpy place. And like, yeah, I'm allowed to kill upwards of 100 other people before the police get me. But, it would not be super responsible to give me the one thing that might help with my anxiety. Take this SSRI, get fat, get covered in bumps. That'll be fun. That'll make you less anxious. Yeah, it'll make your hands shake and you'll have nightmares all the time. And you still, you didn't get rid of that machine gun, and your drinking problem is certainly only ratcheting it up, because you're like, this should be solving it and it's not, which is making me feel even worse. No, I understand though. That's okay. Sell me the AK, Bill. Do not give me something that I couldn't possibly... you can't commit suicide with those either. There's a Stanhope bit, which I'm taking as, real. But his mom was going to check out. It's like a famous thing in his 2013 thing. And they're like... He's like, we have like hundreds of Xanax. And this doctor's like, that won't do it. That won't do it. You can't... You can kill yourself with Tylenol. I mean, she did it with... morphine, which is that's the right way to go, because right. But like, yeah, I'm sure if you mix enough Xanax with enough booze, but like, how am I going to ruin my life? What am I doing? Am I like trading on Wall Street? Oh no, his promising career of screwing around and making techno songs until he dies has been cut tragically short. Xanax overdose. 7 facts you should know. All 7 facts are you won't die. Now let's see. Is a potent medication? Yeah, it actually works. Blah, 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 blah. Lightheadedness. Uh-oh, I might get tired and a headache. I always have that. Yeah, I'm always pretty nauseous. Well, seizures aren't good. Those are bad. All right. What happens if you take more than one Xanax? That's a fucking real stupid question, too, because those... most of the pills you get are like 0.25, and those Xanny bars are like 8. People take those all at once, sleep for 3 days, and then just wake up feeling refreshed and ready to tackle the day.
I think the bar is 10 milligrams.
Oh my god!
And then it's
yeah, you don't want to take one of those all at once.
0.25 or 2.5 is each section of the bar.
Which is, again, 0.25 is plenty. Like that.
Yeah.
That's what you like. Most people just get those. So somebody is getting prescribed those bars. And I am not to be trusted with a bottle of like 20 of those 0.25 things, which is what, 2 of those bars that I'm sure someone gets bottles of. What is the problem? Like when I would mostly just go and find someone willing to give me those, which I don't want to do. Like I don't want to get something made out of fentanyl or whatever. Like I would just, I pay medical insurance. I've fucking played nice for over a year. I do nothing but bitch about my anxiety, and it's like, well, we don't want to give you these. Like, what? You know what? I do have an appointment in a couple of weeks. I'm just going to lay it on him hard. What's he going to do? Fire me from being his patient? If he does, I'll go somewhere else. I like him. I really do. But at this point, I think I understand more about my own health, and it's like, we've also ruled out a lot of wild shit.
Oh my god. I just love the sentence, like, especially fatal.
A fentanyl Xanax overdose could be especially fatal. You'll be so dead.
You'll be extra dead.
Will I die? It's like, oh, you're going to be so dead. It's like when your older brother's going to pound you. It's like, what? Am I in trouble? It's like, you're so dead. It's going to be especially fatal when I catch your ass looking through my fucking baseball cards. Oh my god.
Oh, this is...
Look, and I don't want to die. I want to make it exceptionally clear here. It's like when I go, let me kill myself, I don't mean I'm going to. I mean, I'll probably be fine. I'm just making fun. My point is, though, is like, if the concern is something bad will happen to me, let it happen. That'll teach me. It's not like I'm going to mix it in fentanyl and end up especially dead. What, I'm going to go to hell where I'm going to go anyway, but I'm going to have to be buried in a grave there, too? Like, what the fuck is the difference?
Oh, my God. Fucking WebMD.
I know. It's that thing that just tells you have cancer.
Right.
You're like, I have a headache. It's like, well, contact your loved ones.
You know what will especially kill you?
It's especially fatal. What in the fuck does that... Like, I get it that, like, if you get shot by, like, a .22 rifle and it hits you in the leg, it could be fatal. You might bleed to death or get an infection. But taking a shotgun blast to the face from a foot away could be especially fatal. But it's like, do I even need to really point that? I mean, yeah, when your head's not there anymore, like, that is especially fatal. God, that's so
stupid. Of course
stupid.
It's fucking WebMD. Fuck you. Oh, my God. So fucking... I
hate... Look, like, I'm not some weird, like, libertarian. It's like, I should be allowed to do anything I want ever. I'm like, I do get it. And I do get that we're, like, a society. So it's not really about the fact that you or I or Alexis are smart enough to, not... But... The thing that bugs me, and I do get indignant, you know what, that was a lie. I find it particularly annoying that I'm so goddamn smart, but I wasn't born rich. So it's like, I know that I don't get to do everything I should be able to, rather than being too dumb to realize it and just complaining about Biden or whatever. Like, instead it's like, yeah, I know I'm smart enough, but all that means is I'm smart enough to know that I'm not rich enough to actually have any rights. And it's really frustrating, and it makes me kind of want to... You know what would stop me from taking that AK and just mowing people down? A prescription to Xanax. I am just going to tell my doctor this. Or better yet, just send him this podcast and be like, you can keep the $25 copay. You're going to watch this podcast and we're going to have a conversation later on your own free time about how it makes you feel. And if you don't feel like giving me drugs, I'm going to have to fucking go to a different doctor.
Is that all you have to pay to see him?
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Bill, I'm a criminal. Okay?
I pay 10 times that.
I know you do, but you work for Jeff Bezos, okay? And so the insurance they have backdoor kickback deals with that, so he can go to space and drive fancy cars. And don't you want that for him? He obviously earned it. Yeah, that's why it costs you so much to go to the doctor, who's going to tell you that you can't have whatever drugs you want. That's the worst part. No, Bill, can I say this real fast, though? Because I do my taxes kind of creatively, and it ties into how my health insurance works as a fucking freelance guy. I mean, believe me, a lot goes into it. It's not random luck of the draw, like oh, I'm a fat person who's, from a different country, so it's just like, oh, well, Whitey can pay and John doesn't have to. No, it's because I've done evil things. It's fine. And it is very unfair to you. And I could say that on this fucking shit show journey that I've gone through, where I even had to, I got my thyroid tested, because I'm like, maybe I have such a weird hormonal imbalance, and it turns out I'm fine. And I've actually had multiple different blood tests. I'm actually in phenomenal. There's a reason that most people don't realize that I'm almost 42. Can you imagine if I didn't drink a gallon of liquor every day? I'd look like I was 10 years old. But no. If I had to go through all of that to discover all of the nothing that I have discovered and get the nowhere that I've gotten, and it was $250 a pop, which I think is what 10 times $25 is.
Yes, it is.
Okay. No, I would have actually committed a mass shooting by now. For sure. With the things I legally purchased far more easily than I could get. Maybe a little, it's like, I'm not in pain, but could I have a little perky worky to take the fucking edge off so maybe I don't get too shooty while we just find out that there's nothing wrong with me and I'm just insane? Is that, give me one or the other, okay? You can have the guns back, just give me some Percocets and Xanax and let me make rap songs. I don't know. That'd be fine.
The first note that I made of this podcast was a BetterHelp sponsorship is the only way I could afford therapy.
It's actually pretty funny. That's a stage bid. I think you should hang on to that. BetterHelp. Yeah.
Oh my God. I've made a lot of notes about this one. I should try Xanax. I mean, the most satisfying thing about Xanax is that it's a palindrome.
I love that so much. I'm willing to deal with off-brand too, by the way. I'm not bougie.
Right.
I drive a late model car. I get it. You cut the corners where you can to make the machine keep on them rolling. It's fine. And with inflation, who has the fucking money for on-label Xanax? Yeah, whatever it needs to be.
I also literally hurt myself working too much overtime.
Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yep.
Or at the very least, you know what you should get for doing that? A big, fat Oxycontin subscription. And then we'd be like, oh yeah, he died doing what he loved. Playing video games and doing drugs. And selling some of them to John so he doesn't have to work so much overtime.
I actually don't have the wrist brace on this week. And I'm having to lift the glass with the other hand because it hurts.
That's depressing. Mm-hmm. That is depressing. I hate that. You hate to see it, folks.
Oh, and if you're going to classify drug users, you should not care who you give them to if they're over 35 because they're too old to dream. Yeah,
they're not. Yeah, Bill's not going to be like, oh, Bill's almost going to get into the Olympics. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? Yeah, I don't think we should be. Maybe age is sort of a reasonable way to classify people. I mean, clearly race and other stuff is just stupid. That ties into what I said earlier. There's the Coke room in the back of the liquor store, and not even in all of them. Only the really nice ones have it, or the extra shitty ones. Who knows? But those ones have crack rooms.
You know what I was thinking about when you said that, though? When you had to be over 18 to go into the back, it reminded me of Schindler's.
Yeah.
And Schindler's closed down because the owner got in trouble for selling Coke back there.
See, and a good man, the man that created Schindler's, it always smelled like pipe tobacco, and I could go get issues of Spawn, and they didn't yell at me for just goofing around in there forever. A good man is in jail for doing the right thing. He went with the backroom Coke idea before I did on this podcast. Yeah, he's paying an unfair price for it. Yeah, this country is a joke. I hate it here.
Oh. All right, I guess it wasn't Coke. It was guns, theft, and crystal meth. That's an album. That's an album cover. All right, yeah, that's an album name.
I can't believe I was in Schindler's so often. and only ever left with like Batman comics and like whatever episode of Revolver had Marilyn Manson on it that day, because it would have been like 1995.
Right. I bought.
That could have been like guns and meth
and Marvel comics.
Yeah, people were starting to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards towards the end there. I had some friends that worked there. They never offered me any meth or guns. Some friend you are, Brett.
Yeah,
and Johnny Boom Boom.
I guess.
Yeah, maybe they didn't know the owner. Well, why not try to rub a few elbows at your job? I know it was like one of your, it's like one of your first jobs, but move up that corporate ladder. You might end up being the backroom guns and meth. What was the other thing? Gambling? I didn't even pay attention.
Guns, theft, and crystal meth.
Okay, what was theft? You sell theft?
Know.
Just like car stereos? Back?
I want to click on it, but I'm worried it's going to... Oh, wait, I'll mute the computer.
Yeah, just mute the whole computer. Then you can click on whatever you want. That's nature's condom. Yeah. On this, I've been watching...
I love that it's between like a Men's Warehouse and a fucking Oric.
That's not... Oh, shit. What were they? They were always by... The Shinders I knew were always by a disco round. And what was like an Old Country Buffet was always...
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, there was like the thing... They just built these blocks that always had the same few stores in them, just everywhere. Like
Hot Comics was always next to an Old Country Buffet.
Oh, was it Hot Comics and Collectible? Yeah, okay.
Like, it was in Crystal,
Shinders...
and it was in Richfield, and there was always an Old Country Buffet right next to it. Shinders was in Ridgedale. It was in, I think there was a St. Paul and a Minneapolis location.
The most time I spent in Shinders was like before I could drive, though. So it was like the one in
Roseville.
Edina. It's on the Richfield-Edina border, when me and my friends would just go mobbing through the hood when we'd skip school and wander around when we were 15. Oh my God
Damn it. It doesn't tell me about the fucking, scandal.
I want to know about the theft.
They're now beyond Shinders, is what they call themselves.
Where? Is that a thing somewhere? I've never even seen or heard that.
Yeah, Beyond Shinders in Maplewood.
Of course it's in Maplewood. Like everywhere in Maplewood. Okay, like the Rock in Maplewood got in trouble because they were, Okay, the original version of the Rock, before it became the place from the early...
Dwayne Johnson?
No, it was that venue. I think it's called the Doghouse now. It's kind of a big, nice venue that seemed like it was the kind of place that would normally have cover bands, but they just let everybody play there, and there's always people there, so you knew it was a front for crime. Like, they were at least laundering money, if not worse. Because they're like, boy, everyone's always here, and it's always a party, and they always give you a lot of free booze, and it's just like, oh, this is a front for crime. But, and I hope it was. But, well, it was. The original version, before I started playing there, got shut down and changed owners because they were doing illegal gambling out of the back room. Like, they were but I don't mean, sending things to Vegas and on horse races and sports. I mean, when they got in trouble, there's pictures in the Star Tribune of the cops hauling roulette wheels out of there and shit. Like, it was a cartoon about the mob.
Oh,
and then...
Amazing.
Yeah. And then they got in trouble again, later, after everyone I knew and their mom played there 50 times, because they lost their liquor license. They were driving to Wisconsin and just buying liquor from liquor stores and selling it as a premium because no distributor would touch them anymore. Yeah, that was in Maplewood, the home of crime. And now Snake Discovery is there, who I don't think are doing any crime. By the way, though, if we ever find that out, that would be a sleight of hand, like the Prestige, because they're the most wholesome and helpful and friendly and up and well run people I think I've ever met in my life. They're just oh yeah. What we do though is we use the snakes to open a portal to Moloch every once in a while, and we sell the children from an alternate timeline so they won't be missed to Nazi war criminals who have become immortal and are 200 years old now. Yeah, whatever. I mean, probably something fun like that, because if you have a facade that golden and glorious, you better hope the crime you're doing isn't just guns, meth, and theft. Or whatever the fuck Shinders got in trouble for. There better be interdimensional wormholes and immortal Nazis involved, or I'm just not going to buy it. Oh, for fuck's sake. I made some notes, but I just can't get off of the Shinders. I did mention one thing about, I guess it's the one thing that's sort of related to this tirade, is that Alexis and I were watching episodes of Intervention on a combination of Hulu and YouTube and stuff, and it's fun. And one of who an old ex of mine, Sadie, the most famous tweet she ever did, when you could be a person that wasn't already famous and get a little traction on Twitter, And she kind of did. She had like famous, like Roseanne's kid followed her and stuff. Like she kind of had a thing on Twitter. I don't know how, but the biggest tweet I think she ever did is we were sitting there watching Intervention back when it was newer, and there was some chick like huffing canned air was what she was addicted to, and she was like fucking some weird rich foreign guy for like, and he would like pay her in canned air. And she was actually like pretty hot, and like, but she came from like a rich family and was just like an out of control moron, and she'd be like bringing home a duffel bag full of computer air cleaner. It's like, I got my drugs. I'm like, that is so weird to even call it that. But we were sitting there smoking weed and watching Intervention, and she just put on Twitter in the, when you put in the asterisk, so it's an action, she just put gets high, turns on Intervention, and that got like a writer from Futurama like retweeted it, and like that was her moment in the sun, and I was there for it. But anyway, like there's been many, many episodes and seasons since then. And here is one thing, and I think this sort of, if you read between the lines a little, about the sort of the disproportionate, unfair sense of, how we run everything pharmaceutically and legally in this country. I've watched, at this point, hundreds. I don't know if there are hundreds. If there are hundreds, I've watched nearly all of them, episodes of that, because it's just all the short clips are on YouTube, and you just watch, where the one person at a time. I'm sure each episode has like 3 or whatever, how it works, 2. But they'll just be like, Jeremy likes to drink fucking mouthwash. And like, oh, every single person that I have seen on Intervention is white. And you don't think about it right away. And then you hear their stories, and most of them are women. Some of them are guys, but it's like, oh yeah, she went to jail and she got a DUI and then she da-da-da-da, and they're just still just like, Mary Sue, stop drinking all of that fucking toilet cleaner, it's killing your children, whatever. Like, and no one's black. You want to know why? Because the first thing that happens is they just immediately go to jail for the rest of their lives, doing a fraction of the shit that these, like, usually from, like, I mean, some of them are hillbillies, but some of them you can tell they're kind of from upper middle class families, and they just get chance after chance after chance. Like, quit. Like, every single time you get arrested for having 80 tons of heroin in your car, we think you're a little closer to finally getting in trouble. It's like, what? Why does it work like that for some people? They're white. Oh, and their families care enough about them to do an intervention, I guess. But it's like, I don't think you even have that choice unless you're just a fucking white person in this country. I think some of them are in Canada. And before you go, there's no black people there. Shut up. They're just, no. It's not that different from here where it's just like, oh, are you a white girl? Like, do all the meth you want. And we're going to give you sternly worded email after sternly worded email until eventually you get to be on TV. And then we talk to you. And then after the credits, it says she escaped from rehab and relapsed after 7 days. And then she went back and she was clean for a month and relapsed again. She's still not in jail on meth, maybe. But yeah, it's, I don't know exactly what the connection to that is between that and what I was screaming about earlier, but I think it's that the rules are just made up and everything is stupid, generally. Because I'm not bitching about, I don't think it's actually, no, it probably is. There's probably a bit of a racial component to going to the doctor, I'm sure. I am sure that, like, some people be like, huh? They gave me all the Percocets I want just because I said I was a little sad. What are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I guess I live in a blue state. I have no idea. But then, that'd be like a super fat, super white guy telling me that. But then there'd be like, some poor black lady being like, my leg got cut off. And they're like, yeah, they just didn't even give me Tylenol. They sent me home and scolded me for not being more careful around that threshing machine. And like that, and it's like the same insurance company and the same whatever, like, system of health stuff in the same state that they gave Fatty transparently white just all of the fucking free heroin he could ever have. And then, that lady, but, so I'm sure there's a racist component, but nevertheless, I seem to be in a thing where I'm like, I have a lot of anxiety, but I only need to take something every once in a while. And here's what I will close on, actually. The thing that pisses me off the worst, not just that I'm being treated like an 11-year-old in juvenile hall as far as not people trusting me to make my own best decisions for myself. I hate that. I hate that they treat everyone like that. And maybe they treat women like that even more. Whatever. Like, it's unfair and it's fucked up and stupid, but it's pretty unfair across the board. There's just peaks and valleys. Whatever. But the thing that I hate the most is that there was, like, I like my doctor, but concern was voiced when I very specifically was like, hey, this thing you gave me help. Like, I'm not going to give you those anymore. I'm like, really? But I understand that plenty of people maybe don't have side effects from SRIs and SNRIs and stuff, but a lot of people do, and they're fucking awful for those people, and they were awful for me. Worse, perhaps, than some people, better than others, maybe, but like, it definitely didn't work and sucked. And then it's just like, well, let's try another one of those. I'm like, hang on a second. Like you think that like I'm just going to pass away because you gave me some Ativan to like, take the edge off every here and again as long as I promise not to drink that day or something. But you're like, oh, wake up and take this every day. And then your dick won't work, and you'll gain a bunch of weight, and your hands will shake, and you'll have nightmares, and you'll get covered in sores. And basically your symptoms will be what happened in the Old Testament when God didn't like you. Like, that's what will happen. Minus raining frogs, because who doesn't like frogs? That would be fun. But no, of course I didn't get the fun plague. No. Just the sores and the dandruff and the gnashing of teeth and fucking, I don't know. I don't know where to completely go with that. But you prescribe me a biblical plague because it's sort of popular on TV right now. When you watch Dateline, they're like, the kids are taking Xanax. It's like, uh-oh. Oh, my colleagues will look at me funny if I give those to a middle-aged adult that kind of knows they help. That would be a terrible thing to do. No, you will be covered in poisonous frogs. Or whatever. What did you just write down?
Frogs are the cutest plant.
They are adorable. Why was that even a problem? Unless the pharaoh was Jake. He's afraid of frogs. And I understand. But, like, tree frogs especially. I think he's okay with toads.
Right. Like, okay, I get it.
And he has the compound where Jake lives. There's some big toads down there. Like, we had to keep the practice space doors shut. He's like, "You're letting all the toads in," and he was right. They're like the size of this glass. Like, I'm like, the jam room's full of toads. But that didn't seem to bug him. But I did see him walk by a tree frog without. You know how when you walk by a big spider and turn your head, you're like, "Yay!" Like he did a spider take.
Where did you walk by a tree frog?
His dad's place. There was a tree frog on his garage door.
That can't, like.
Yeah, it was one of those really neon green with the big fingers. They do exist around here. You don't see them as often. There's frogs. Like, there's bullfrogs and shit. There's a million kinds of tree frogs, and, like, the kind you might buy at Snake Discovery, like, come from, like, the bottom tip of South America or whatever. But there was a frog stuck up to the garage door, and I was like, cool! And he turned his head, and he was like, bleh! Like, if there was a tarantula, like, on the table right now, how I would react, I would just be like, yeah! And like, I think spiders are cool, but I react poorly to them. It's like how some people are afraid of snakes. Ooh, was it one of those? Maybe. It was really bright green, though. Well, it's not poison. Well, maybe you shouldn't eat them, I guess, but it's not venomous or anything. It's not like a poison dart frog.
All right, the only poisonous frog native to the United States.
But why are you looking at poisonous frog? It was just a tree frog.
Well, right, but like, all right. Okay.
A lot of tree frogs are not poisonous at all.
Right, okay, that's what I was thinking. Like,
no.
I was thinking of.
There's just regular ass
dart frogs.
No.
All right.
Those exist in like the Congo.
Right, they're in the
those are fucking hard.
The Amazon. Yeah.
Those would be the one thing harder than getting a fucking AK-47 and a prescription of Xanax combined is getting poisoned dart frogs. You know what? I'm going to go on the internet and see if I can't get poisoned dart frogs shipped to my house faster than I could get a prescription to 0.25 milligrams Xanax from a reasonable and well-respected physician who seems to mostly understand me. I don't know. But maybe I'm just going to start licking toads. Oh, yeah, we get those bufo elevaris or whatever, the ones that like DMT come from. But it's the 5-MAO. It's the weird one where you just get like the blank screen, which that actually kind of scares me. There's the Clockwork Elves DMT, and there's the blank screen DMT. That's a cool looking frog.
Oh, yeah,
he's like
tomato
orange.
Frogs?
Yeah, he looks like a tomato.
Yeah.
He's all reddish orange. You should save that and show it to Alexis later. She'll like a tomato frog. But maybe she already knows what a tomato frog is.
Right.
I hope so. Because I sure like him.
Right. Oh, they puff up too, so they look like a big tomato.
Oh, they get all tomatoey. Mm-hmm. Someday I'll rig this up so we can show things on the screen. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, but folks, if you're listening, Google tomato frog, and you'll be glad you did. You can't lick them and have a fucking DMT trip.
I think they are poisonous.
Let's lick tomato frogs then.
They're just so cute.
They are adorable. I would lick them anyway. But if they fuck me up, even better. They are cute. Wow. They kind of, yeah, they have like...
No, I want to see this picture.
What is he? Oh, they're just...
He's on a plate full of tomatoes.
Yeah, they're just hanging out. Wow, they're really red.
Oh.
It's amazing. Where do they live where they're that red, though? Because green...
Madagascar.
Oh, okay. Madagascar is like... Oh, it's like the thing that is the most in the running with like Australia for, you know, who gets the gold medal for how weird the animals here are. I think Australia tends to win, but Madagascar is... I mean, Freddie Mercury was born there. So, I mean, he's a strange animal.
Madagascar?
Yeah, he was.
Oh.
I don't know if I don't think his parents were from there, but he was like born there while they were there or something.
It's
oh no, Zanzibar. Never mind.
Yeah, okay, because I was gonna say like he's from a region of India. I can't
yeah, it was Zanzibar. I thought, yeah. So I know what Madagascar is. Oh, by the way, speaking of the system,
you're wearing a top hat.
That's pretty great.
Oh,
someone has a sticker of that.
There's a fucking cricket on a tomato frog.
Oh, that is very adorable. They look very, yeah, they have a very cartoonish countenance when they're looking right at the camera.
Little eyes. Oh.
They're like a Jim Henson thing more than a real frog, but they're real. And they're not from Zanzibar, they're from Madagascar, but Freddie Mercury probably would have appreciated a tomato frog the way we do. But perhaps without the internet, he never knew they existed, and what a tragedy that is. AIDS took him before the internet showed him tomato frogs.
Fresh tomato frogs. Oh, you're so cute.
Yeah, those are really great.
You ever see something so cute it makes you like angry?
Yeah, kinda. I get a weird feel. What? By the way, what is that in this last 3 minutes here?
Oh my god, look at that eye.
That is really pretty. That's cool. You look like a dinosaur. Maybe that's why I like him so much. They look very Jurassic Parky up close, and I enjoy that a whole bunch.
Look at this.
Yeah, but why do we want to like squish and bite and like I get what is it? Intrusive thoughts. When something's really cute, I just want to step on it, and then I make myself sad because I never want to see anything bad happen to it. I don't. What the hell is that? Is there a pill for that? Because I'll bet it's some combination of Xanax and Percocet. Just kidding. It's the Coke from the back of Shinders. That'll fix you right up. All these other ideas I have are just so like long. Although I did have one about I got really angry at a Pornhub ad the other day. No, I am going to fight everything. You know what? This episode might actually clock in at just a tiny bit under an hour. But here, I will say this. I was on, I don't think they do video for it, despite the fact that I zoomed in. I don't quite know what, or maybe there is video. I should just text and ask, but that's a lot for me to do. But I was on a thing called the Awful Service Podcast run by, Joe Cocazella is one guy, but who's the main? Matt Duima, he's a comedian from around here. Yeah, those are adorable. Oh, he's getting a little head pet and he's all scrunched up. That's really cute.
Oh my god.
Okay, Bill, I think you've had enough liquid deaths. They're making you all tomato froggy. But yeah, if anyone listens to this, and I know you don't, but if you do, after I fall from grace and commit like a war crime and you want to really dig into, you're going to make a Netflix documentary about all the horrible things I've done. And this is, you know, instead of having to do a bunch of research and talk to a bunch of my relatives who I don't talk to and they can't really tell you anything. But, oh, good news, there's hundreds of hours of this shitty podcast. While you're digging through all that to do your graduate thesis on the horrible, horrible things that John did that changed the world forever for the worse. Hopefully, old episodes of the Awful Service Podcast are still up. That's a tiny one. Which I was on with a couple of people where we talk about all the old shitty jobs you ever had. And I mean, I got to be a fun guest because I have the most terrifying, law-breaking, wild, and destructive like retail job stories ever. But also, I'm not currently a server or a... Like, I actually do make my living as an artist. Good for me. But they still allowed me on because of the, you know, I guess years, if not maybe decades. Oh, yeah, because I started working in, like, junior high, yeah. Of just terror. Basically, like, if you ever go to bed at night upset that your job has wronged you, remember that out there's me and probably other people like me that have gotten revenge upon that system 1,000-fold through malicious compliance, theft, destruction, chaos, violence, losing customers for being rude, sabotage, selling drugs at work, stealing stuff from other places and selling them illegally at your work, and then stealing stuff from them too, stealing lottery tickets, being on mushrooms at work, starting fires in the break room, putting things on the internet that said the place is closed forever, reporting them to the IRS for stuff they actually did but they thought you wouldn't figure out, now they're closed. Yeah, you know, if you're ever like, fuck man, it sucks that these big corporations and these things, they just get to make me be a retail employee and put on a little shirt and do as they say and boss me around, and fuck man, what can I really do? Well, before you take that AR-15 to work and just go ham, because your doctor won't give you enough Xanax to help get you through your shitty retail job. Before you do that, because you feel like they've never gotten theirs, know that they probably have because of me. And boy, howdy did they. And it is described in vivid detail on the Awful Service podcast. Oh, yeah. And it piecemeal on the Reverend John Wheeler podcast. But I do got to say, episode 115 of the Awful Service podcast details in graphic detail the horrible things that I have done to places I've worked at, so you don't have to.
I suppose we don't need to plug this podcast on this podcast.
Well, it might help if anyone watched it, but they don't.
The Reverend John Wheeler podcast takes zero responsibility for the words, actions, or ideas of its host, guests, or listeners. Though the people on the screen may at times be speaking directly to you, and may occasionally give you direct calls to action, neither Reverend John nor the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge are under any moral or legal obligation to answer for the potentially disastrous repercussions that may arise if you are stupid enough to actually follow the orders of a raving lunatic. Think for yourself and do whatever you want, because you're on your own. If anyone ever tries to sue this podcast, black SUVs will converge on your location in the darkness of night and you will never be seen again. Remember to like and subscribe.